the first Playwyrd stream of the week. So, hope you all had a good weekend. Oh, cannot hear me. There it is. Great. Just like that. Look at that. Getting efficient with that troubleshooting. Playwyrd. The sheriff of the internets, some might say. Yeah, so hope everyone had a pleasant weekend. I didn't get a whole lot of hobby stuff done myself over the weekend because I was down at the coast with my wife, my two sons, and my parents, and we had a little walk along the coast, which was nice. My son was tearing through the water like an absolute madman, so he had to get changed because it's pretty cold. I mean, we weren't letting him swim or anything. He's just running through little tide puddles and things. But anyway, it was very nice, McBluff. Thank you. Yes, a lot of fun. Mad lad vibes. So here we have the Brutal Emissary. I put quite a bit of a warmer green on the leather that I'm not too sure about, but I'm going to wait until I've put some other colours in. Thank you. Just like that. Okay, sorry about that little blip there. Believe we're back. So anyway, yeah. So if you're not sure about your colors, always put the other colors in first before you start altering things, because you can end up overcompensating and causing yourself more problems. So although I'm not sure about these warmer green bits that you can see here, I'm going to put some other colors in first before I make a decision on them, because that is the sensible thing to do. So I didn't get much done over the weekend, but I actually have started painting the bases for a couple of things that I'm working on. So you can actually see those little desert plants that I've put in there. That's going to be the base for the Brutal effigy once he's done. Still got a bit of work to do on him. And the other one is for the Peacekeeper that I'm going to be working on at some point. So he's going to be sort of straddling this little mini canyon that I've made. Anyway, let's get paint. So I actually have a bit of a go-to method for painting rust that I'm going to use today. I'm going to hopefully show to you guys, because there's not too much involved in it, and it actually looks fairly convincing. So let's get her done. So I start with graphene grey by Scale Colour. It's part of the... Do excuse me, my phone is over here charging, making a horrendous racket. I'm just going to quickly mute that. Sorry about that. Where'd I put my brush? There it is. Okay. Yeah, so this is part of the Scale Colour range by Scale 75. And they are very matte paints. that are very good for blending. Because that matte texture actually makes blending a little bit easier. So we're just gonna start with this. So we're using I'm going to use a combination of non-metallic and metallic paints to do this rust. Hi, Dead Aussie Gamer. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, feel free to lurk. Lurking is very much welcome here. Welcome the lurkers. So I'm just sort of over brushing this on here, so I'm leaving a little bit of the black showing for a bit of shadow, a little bit of depth. Oh, hey Doug, thanks for swinging by. Doing a little bit of work on some of the metal elements today. And this guy. So I'm using graphene gray, but any sort of dark neutral gray will do fine. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with. This is how he's looking after a couple hours work, so not bad at all. Yeah, that's fine. No worries. Always nice just to have folks pop by, even if it is brief. Folk have busy lives. Nothing wrong with that. People need to eat, after all. So let's go. There's a little bristler stuck there. Come on, you. Get out of here. He does not want to leave. Beat it. You get the tweezers to this one. I think I got it. Nope, still there. Sure, no. I think it's actually it's like a bristle off my brush. Come on. Come on, little guy. Just need to get this because I don't want to start painting over it. That'll do, I think. I think that might have been a cat here, actually. Sneaky little cat been skulking around where he shouldn't be, as they do. So just making sure, even though we're going to be making these chains so rusty and beat up, we still want a solid base coat down before we do anything. What about you guys in the chat? Any of you done any painting lately? Anything that you're working on? Always like hearing about what you guys are up to. Any gaming at the weekend even? Anyone managed to get any games in? Oh, nice. Where'd you run? Where was that? Where was that, Doug? Is that a local thing or part of a bigger event? Or oh, that's cool. And Playwyrd did do so much painting. Can confirm. Been carrying it on with the was the Rotten Harvest Witches, right? Was that? That's the set you've been working on, I believe. It's like the alternate Swamp Fiends. I think it's Swamp Fiends. It's definitely Zoraida and friends anyway. It's a magic tree. Whatever color it likes. I suppose it could be like a phosphorescent tree. Couldn't it? Okay. I'm not too worried about going over onto the green with the chains here because I'm going to do a little bit more shading, etc. around them. So that's something that can get tidied up later on. Okay, hair dryer time. Okay, so here you go. You can see it's just a regular grey color. Just add in some more, just any bits that I've missed that don't look quite right. A bit in there, I think could use a little bit more. Look at that. There we go. Okay, so that's the base color for the rust. So what next? Well, now we're going to start actually building the rust up. So you can use a red-brown for this. I'm using brown oxide. It's quite a dark red-brown. I'm going to move to a smaller brush. as well. And then how you want to approach this is another little happy accident here with the way that rust behaves and the way that we want our miniatures to look is that rust typically forms where moisture is present. And because water usually takes the path of least resistance, it tends to pull in recesses. So we can do a little twofer with the rust here, because we can use the rust to create a little bit of a shadow on the chains as well. Just a happy little accident of nature there. Excuse me. So I'm not being too finessed or precious with this. I'm just dabbing it onto those chains and just letting it find the recesses. So and go down the length of chain, being a little bit neater here, of course, because we don't want it running everywhere. And you can go in a little bit smaller as well, with less on your brush, and what you can do in some of the larger bits is you can dab some of it on, do a little bit of a stipple like that, and maybe do some of that up here, like so. What you can do as well is you can actually go back if there's areas where you want to build the colour up a little bit more, and you can go over them again. What I'm thinking looking at this is I'm probably going to let this dry a little, and I'm going to go back over it with something like petroleum grey to build up some darker shadow in some of the areas. Back onto this bit here. Stipple that on. Okay, gonna hit that with a hairdryer and see how it's looking. Okay, so it's quite subtle still. So maybe do just a little bit more here and there. And then I'm actually not just going into the recess, but dabbing some onto the chains themselves here and there. The back needs quite a bit more. You can actually use a slightly denser mix if you need to as well. It's always better to start off subtle and then build things up a bit more if you need to, than to go in too heavy and then find that you're struggling to fix them. Okay. I could do a bit more on that back bit there, I think. Let's get some in there. Right. And then what we're going to do, I think, before we do any shadow, we're going to build up the rust and see how it looks. So go up to, I'm using Mornfang Brown, which is, it's almost like an ochre colour. And same again, I'm going to water that right down. So it's almost a bit like an ink. Yeah, hopefully you can see there. A lot of water in this paint now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, with my Mornfang Brown, I'm going to go into those areas where I've applied the Rhinox hide. And I'm going to go over this because I'm using that Rhinox hide as my base coat. Rust can be a little bit random with how it forms, so if you're wanting to make things look a little bit more convincing, then I would maybe suggest don't apply it wholesale all over. Like maybe leave the. I would go all over with the the Rhinox hide, because it also looks a little bit like dirt or grime, the way that accumulates. So it's still good to have that all over the chain, but be a bit more discriminate with this one. Put some in here. And what you can do as well is, you see it more here than you do on the chains, is you can actually use the weathering to help you with a bit of highlighting and shading. So we're going to put a bit more fine brown in here where a bar of light's fallen, and that's going to help to form a bit of a highlight for us. This is the Brutal Emissary after all, so I feel like we want that brutality to be very much apparent. Yes, thank you for the like, Brandon. Always appreciate. Engagement, whatever form that takes. Do some streaks in some of the areas as well, like here. I got a more convincing rust effect beginning to form now. Get that right in there. Get some more in there. So that's our next layer done. Now what we do is I'm going to add quite a vibrant orange to that mornfang brown. So just mix that pretty much 50-50. So that's pretty much the colour that I've ended up with. What I'm going to do is water that down to the same sort of consistency as before. And then I'm going to go back. This time being even more selective in where it's going. I want to leave some of those other colours showing through still. This is quite strong now. You can see it's showing up quite a bit. There you go. So I'm just picking out bits and pieces of that weathering from those layers that I've put before and just enhancing some of it with a bit of stippling. Maybe just letting a little bit of it flow into any gaps and recesses. I think we could do with a little bit more on this chain here. Excuse me. Just a bit more on the handle. We move on. And there we go. So last little bit to do is to take some of the Troll Slayer orange. I'm just gonna use just a little bit to emphasize some of that rust. Again, you're going to have varying amounts of corrosion within a given area, so don't want to make it too uniform. So it might be stronger in one area, weaker in another. But you can use this to do a little bit of highlighting here and there as well. A bit of detail or something that you want to pop out a bit more. There we go. So you showed your bases for the FJ and MC. You tend to have your base designs in mind when you're painting the models. A lot of the time I do, yeah. Sometimes I'll design a base before I paint the models. Sometimes it'll be part way through. Sometimes it'll be after. It just depends on what you're doing, really. I've usually got something in mind for the base. I know for a lot of people it is an afterthought. Different strokes for different folks and all that, I guess. But your base is what really grounds your model in whatever reality it exists in, I feel. and it adds that little bit something else to it. It's like if you had two identical dinners, like you go into a restaurant and you order a ribeye steak, okay, and you get it's an identical cut of meat made by the same person, cooked at the same temperature, same seasoning, everything. You know, it's got the grilled tomato, mushrooms, chips on it, both identical, but one of them has been garnished and arranged nicely, and the other one is just the same stuff, but it's just on the plate. Which one looks better? Which one is better? And I feel like basing is it's similar to that. It's like garnishing your miniature. It's that little bit of presentation that when it's not there, you maybe don't notice it, but when it is, it elevates a good model so much more. And you don't even need to spend a whole lot of time to do good basing either. Just tuned in and Ben is talking about steak. What has gone wrong so far? Nothing's gone wrong. Just using an analogy, that's all. Maybe not the best analogy, but well, it's actually it's coming up on my dinner time, so that's maybe why my head went there. So I'm just doing a little bit of shading into some of the areas that I want to be a little bit darker. But I mean, you could be right. Maybe he's got some kind of hunger-inducing aura. I'm just using a little bit of petroleum grey just to shade some of these areas. Like so. Non-natural bases are what I struggle with. Indoors, tunnels was hard to want to like add natural earthy tones. I don't know. I feel like in a lot of those sort of bases you've described that you can still put a lot of those natural earthy tones on. Like if you're painting stone, a lot of the time, or stone, or like man-made stone, be it paving or something like that, nature still creeps into that, doesn't it? So you're still going to have things like little weeds peeping up between the cracks. Algae's creeping in. If anything, it makes it more convincing. So my advice to you would be to lean into that instinct you've got to want to add more natural elements to those things, because I think if you tinker about with it, I think you'll find that it actually makes those sorts of bases that bit more convincing. Even if I was painting, particularly for for something like Malifaux, where a lot of the time we do favor dingier environments because it's in keeping with a lot of the themes and the general atmosphere of the game. If I was doing an indoor environment, I would still have like dirt in between the floorboards, little stains and things like that. So okay, so just do a little bit more of the like I always find that it's quite helpful when you're doing something like that. Let's say, for talking sake, that you're doing cobblestone bases. Cobblestone bases are quite popular for Malifaux. I would just hop into Google or your search engine of preference and collect a bunch of reference images, or even go out, do a little bit of urban exploration, snap some pictures of your own. It's actually quite useful for doing the old painting. Okay, so quite a bit of rust there now. Next step is let this dry first. And what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush some metal over the top of that. So I'm using Metal and Alchemy. And I've got these Army Painter dry brushes. They've got a slightly domed head on them. And these are great for dry brushing. These are goat hair bristles, so they're a bit coarser, a bit more resilient than the Kolinsky sable that we tend to favor in the the world of miniature painting. And then all I'm going to do is just very gently go over that brush. So you want to think about the way that rust can get rubbed off with abrasion. So it means that a lot of the areas where the links join, there's going to be more of the metal areas shown. This brush is a little bit big, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch to a regular brush, and I'm just going to flatten that out. And I'm going to use that to help me out with some of these areas here. Like so. And hopefully you can see that's us already got some pretty convincing rust effects on the model. I'm going to have to go back and tidy up around these areas because it's very difficult when you're dry brushing not to catch some of these. It can be a bit of a messy technique, but we wouldn't get the same effect if we just used regular painting to apply that. We actually want that sort of dry brushed finish to these chains. Because it all enhances the effect that we're going for. When the overall miniature's finished, it's going to, the rusty chain around his waist is not going to stand out as much, but he's holding this cage forward, and it's going to be more than apparent there. A little bit more. You actually get little sort of scratches as well doing it this way. So all serves to enhance the look, the effect that we're going for. Okay. It's looking good. So we have a rusty cage to paint. We got this poor wee guy inside it. So I've done the cage as a sub-assembly, as you can see. And the plan is to, because it's going to be really difficult for me to paint that guy through the bars, I'm going to paint the little guy, and then we're going to do the cage, and then we're going to put him on. So a little bit of water before we start. I don't imagine this guy is going to look too healthy being imprisoned in there, so I'm going to use I think I'm going to not use Bugman's Glow, which is a paint I use a lot for flesh. Instead, I'm going to use red leather and sandalwood, which is quite a muted, desaturated flesh tone. Oh, I didn't even put any sandalwood out. So, okay, so just getting a good coat of this down, and then I'm going to build up my flesh tones on top of it. This poor guy probably hasn't even done anything. Accidentally aligned himself against the guild. Just trying to live his life. foot. So hopefully you can see the value of doing some sub-assemblies here, because it would have been an absolute nightmare trying to get them all painted when he's behind that. His arm done as well. Welcome back. So we've moved on from doing a bit of the rust, and we're going to do our little prisoner in his cage. So we'll try that off. He's got this big crater in his forehead because there's I think there's a stud on the inside of his cage that he's supposed to sit against. Well, I think given how the guild can be, I don't imagine you'd have to commit any crimes at all, to be honest. Just happen to be unfortunate enough to have garnered their attention in some way. Good guys, the guild. The guild are the good guys, right? Okay, this is looking good so far. So I'm going to switch to smaller brush. I'm going to put some sandalwood with just a little bit of red leather through it this time. Maybe they put this guy in the cage because of the size of his forehead. He's got a pretty big forehead. I'm just kidding. Foreheads of all shapes and sizes are welcome here. Welcome back, Doug. We are painting this poor unfortunate soul. Five head, yeah, that's a good one. In school, we used to call it a foredome. If you had like a big forehead. I think it stops being a forehead at that point, doesn't it? A forecourt, maybe call it that, can you? This guy has a really characterful face. Like, it's quite impressive when you consider that he's essentially a prop for the Brutal Emissary. Like the level of detail in his face is quite amazing. Seems a shame to lock him back up. I'm pretty pleased with how the skin tones turned out, I have to say. Marcus would be the kid always pretending to be a dog. That's what he'd be doing. There's always one kid, isn't there? What, warrior cats? What's warrior cats? Oh, I don't think I'm familiar with that one. It must have come after my time. Sounds of things. I read a lot of horrible histories growing up myself. That's what I liked reading. Weird little history nerd kid. I can actually remember, I probably would have been about 9 or 10, I think, and the book fair came to my primary school. And I picked up a book on Greek mythology. Obviously, being like I was really interested in all of that stuff when I was a little kid, and let's just say it was not suitable for children. It was adhering to the original Greek myths, so those guys definitely do not check everything that goes into those book fairs. Wackus bonkus. It's a great TV series, actually, that Horrible History. My little boy loves all the songs. I think I've seen a couple of Drunk History. I think it's one of those ones, isn't it? I think it started on Dave in the UK, and then I think they did an American version of it. Let's give this a blast. At least I think they. Yeah, it was originally. It was originally a thing over here, and I mean, I guess obviously the producers must have the reasons for it, but they never seem to just lift a show directly and then show it to audiences in the the US. It must be guided. I would hope it's a decision that's been led by research, but they seem to do that a lot, don't they? It might be that that it's the program that was originally on Dave. They just aired in on Comedy Central. I'm not sure, but fairly certain it was originally on a channel called Dave over here. But I could be mistaken. Yeah, he would have been in it. Yeah, I'm not sure if he hosted it. But he would have at least been in it for sure. Okay, must be the same thing then. Yeah, I never really watched it, so I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I saw a couple of episodes. It's the kind of thing that my wife finds really funny, but I just find it a little bit annoying. I don't find drunk people particularly entertaining, I'm afraid. Maybe this guy ended up in the cage because he tried to do his own drunk history. So I want this guy to be looking quite pasty. He's maybe been in this cage a bit too long, I think. So I'm just using, this is unmixed sandalwood. This is just using sandalwood now. Working my way up through colours. Oh! That. One back. Get this all blended in, looking the part. Poor wee guy is not looking well. How skinny he is. Okay. Just a couple of little bits probably need blended a bit more. And the cheeks. Probably going to dirty up his hands when I'm done as well, just to help sell that effect a bit more. Make him look like he's having a bad time. First, I'm going to go right up to. Actually, I think rather than do pale skin, because that's still quite a warm colour, I'm actually going to do Mojave White. That's going to help me desaturate the sandalwood a little bit more. So just mix a bit of them together. This is hopefully help to make them look a bit paler, I think. Looks as though he was maybe a scholar or something, this guy. Maybe caught helping out the Arcanists. See, when you get a sculpt as good as this makes highlight placement so much easier. It's actually something that a lot of people don't realise when they compare their own work to that of in particular, the box art that you get in a lot of what people are calling boutique miniatures. What a lot of people don't realise is the guys that have done the box art, not to take anything away from the work, because it's nearly always incredible. If you're painting box art, you're usually an exceptional painter. But they're nearly always painting resin masters, as opposed to the 200th copy that's been cast from a resin mold. So that contributes massively to the quality of the finished product, and it's sculptors definitely do not get as much credit as they should, because you can have the best painter in the world, but if you ask them to paint a model that's just bad, then it's just not going to happen. Whereas an excellent sculpt is a lot more forgiving of mediocre or bad painting, because it's still a good sculpt, no matter what you do with it. And I'm going to do a little bit of heavy weight. Oh, definitely. I mean, because it's one of the things about model making is that you need to be an artist and an engineer. wee drink. Because you need to have an understanding of, can this thing actually be cast? And I've listened to some really interesting interviews about it, because you have a lot of guys in design teams, where they are just the idea guy. Then they're not necessarily the person that is going to be making it, and they approach the engineer, whatever you want to call them. This is the model we want to make, and and they'll tell them, no, you can't do that. That won't work, because you can't cast that, or because of X or Y reason. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, whether you're going to use a single part mold, a 2-part mold, and then you need to, you have the decide where the keys are going for the mold, so that everything lines up for recasting. It's definitely an art form, yeah. There's a lot to it. Right. So I think what I'm going to do before I move on is tidy it all up, see how the face is looking, and then we'll probably do the eyes. So let's paint his sackcloth robes. Oh, geez, you can tell I've not used this a lot. There we go. Bit of Dubai brown. face is looking pretty good. Zoom in a little so you can see it better. Probably use a little bit of burgundy or purple in some of the darken some of the areas down a little bit more, but I think he's headed in the right direction. Probably knock this back a bit with some Dryad Park. Get some dirt and stains all over it. Hopefully you can see with me trying to paint this robe what it would have been like trying to paint the whole thing through those bars. Sub-assemblies. Always worth giving a bit of thought to whether something easier to do in sub-assemblies or not. That about my drying off. So I've got another coat to do on that yet. Still need to do his eyes, and I think I do want to try and shade into some of the recesses a little bit more, so I might quickly do that actually, because I don't have too much time left. So, smaller brush. I'm using a bit of, it's called black leather, but it's really a very dark burgundy. So it's good for shading reds. Things like that. And then you want them to appear quite gaunt, I think, so. A little bit into these areas. Just very subtle. Under his jawline. Okay. I think we will leave it there for today. Wyrd's very kindly dropped my information in the chat, so you can connect with me there. Feel free to reach out with me. If you've got anything you'd like to see on the stream, drop me a line. Let me know. I was happy to hear from you guys. But yeah, there we go. So we've got a bit of rust done, and a good chunk done on the poor fool in the cage. So yeah, happy with how our emissary is looking so far. Hopefully I'll get some work in progress shots up for you guys at some point. Make no promises though, because I always say that and then forget to do it. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out today, guys. Make sure to pop back along later on where Guslado, aka Doug, will be doing a bit of painting. If he's still about, he can let us know in the chat what he's painting. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. I will be back again on Wednesday at the same time, probably doing a bit more work on this bad boy. And until then, there you go. He's painting the Thanksgiving style huntsman, I think, wasn't it? Sort of autumnal themed. Anyway, that is all from me for today. and I will see you through the week. Take care, guys.